Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Pecco Bagnaia arrives in Portimão carrying the mixed baggage of Sepang, a sprint win in dominant Saturday, followed by a cruel puncture that ended a promising Grand Prix. The two-time champion says the puncture was a first for him in MotoGP and refuses to let the late race setback dent the momentum he found in Malaysia. If anything, Bagnaia brings the same determination and clearer clues about the GP25 into Portugal, a circuit where he has historically thrived. Ducati has publicly thrown its weight behind Francesco Bagnaia's bid to salvage a complex 2025 by finishing third in the World Championship, and CEO Claudio Domenicali was clear about the stakes. With Bagnaia 5 points adrift of Marco Bezzecchi heading to Portimão, Ducati calls the fight significant and realistic. Domenicali also offered an encouraging medical update on Marc Márquez, confirming the 9-time champion's bone and ligament fixation is resolved but warning of a long recovery that keeps him off the bike until February's Sepang test. Fabio Quartararo arrives at Portimão pragmatic and slightly cautious. The Yamaha factory rider likes the Portuguese roller coaster. It plays to flowing circuits where the M1's worst traits are less punished. But he's blunt about the bigger picture. Yamaha spent much of 2025 prioritizing the 2026 V4 project, so on-track gains this year have been limited. Quartararo is optimistic about the V4 switch and proud of the electronics work the team has delivered, yet he knows the real step change must come next season. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Bagnaia's weekend in Malaysia swung from strong to strange. After coming through Q1, taking pole and controlling the sprint, he looked set for a big main race result before a rear puncture on lap 12 turned a podium bid into a DNF. The swing exposed how quickly fortune can reverse even when pace and setup appear to be working. He said Saturday had been a very positive day. Pole, sprint win and excellent pace. But admitted Sunday brought unforeseen problems and the puncture that nobody expected. A perfect Saturday underlined underlying performance. A freak puncture robbed Bagnaia of proving that performance over full distance. Bagnaia was blunt. Punctures affecting MotoGP tires were not part of his experience until Sepang. That rarity underlines how random the event was, a freak occurrence rather than a technical trend. Puncturing is something I've never heard of. And that happened too. When champion riders describe an incident as unheard of, it removes suspicion of systemic failure and frames the DNF as bad luck, not rider error or a chronic bike issue. Before the puncture, Bagnaia said he was managing the gap to Marc Márquez and planning a late push in the final 5 laps. He felt the chance to fight back was there. The tire failure simply robbed him of that window. He believed the opportunity to regain position existed and had been pacing for a late race attack. That tactical patience speaks to a rider who trusts racecraft as much as outright speed, and who was denied the payoff by circumstance. Bagnaia arrives in Portugal refusing to be deflated. He stresses he comes with the same strength, developed in Sepang and points to previous good results at Portimão, victories in 2021 and 2023. As reason for optimism. Still, he's cautious about predictions. The Portuguese roller coaster demands stability and precision. However, it remains the positive of the weekend, so we arrive here with the same strength. Portimão's ups and downs will test whether Sepang's improvements were transient or transferable, and Bagnaia's history there gives him reason to believe. Beyond the weekend narrative, Bagnaia's results carry championship weight. He sits 5 points behind Marco Bezzecchi in the fight for third. Every finish, and every non-finish, now has amplified significance as the season nears its close. Recovering from Sepang's misfortune isn't just about pride, it's about points and momentum at a crucial late stage. Sepang was a microcosm of Bagnaia's 2025, flashes of dominance interrupted by rare but decisive misfortune. He leaves Malaysia unbowed and heads to Portimão with the same strength he showed in Sepang's highs and a clear aim. Turn positive signals into consistent race results. If the GP25 behaves and luck evens out, Bagnaia remains one of the safest bets to convert promise into podiums. After a season of extremes, multiple wins counterbalanced by several non-scores, Bagnaia still sits in contention for third overall. Ducati's leadership framed the target not as consolation but as an important, meaningful objective for a rider whose year has been anything but straightforward. I think third place is totally within his reach. It's significant, considering such a difficult championship. Taking home the third step of the podium is certainly a great result, Domenicali said. For Bagnaia, converting sporadic brilliance into a steady points run will be the decisive factor between a headline-making comeback or one more roller coaster finish. The numbers tell the story. Bagnaia's last 10 rounds have oscillated between victories and zeros. That volatility has left Ducati balancing celebration with forensic engineering. Domenicali acknowledged two very different dynamics in the factory box this year: a dominant Márquez/Márquez axis and a tumultuous, unpredictable run for Bagnaia. The aim is clear: steady the GP25's temperament and reduce the zero-or-win variance that has defined Bagnaia's campaign. With only the penultimate round to go before the finale, Portimão is the next proving ground. Bagnaia trails Bezzecchi by 5 points. Every finish, every overtake and every tire decision now carries added weight. Ducati's public backing sends a message: the team will throw resources and focus behind Bagnaia's push. If the GP25 behaves and Bagnaia stays on the tarmac, third place is far from a long shot. It's a test of consistency under pressure. Domenicali confirmed encouraging clinical news about Marc Márquez's shoulder. The bone fixation and ligament treatment are resolved. That medical clarity comes with a caveat: a slow, staged recovery that keeps Márquez off MotoGP machinery until the Sepang test in February. Next week he'll remove the bandages and then begin physiotherapy and recovery. The fixation of the bone and ligament is completely resolved, so he won't have any after effects, but there will be a rather long recovery period. For Ducati, the priority is a full, long-term return rather than a rushed cameo. The team's patience is tactical as much as it is medical. With Márquez sidelined, Ducati has turned to World SBK runner-up Nicolo Bilega to cover the remaining rounds for the factory team. The decision gives Ducati a high-caliber stand-in while keeping developmental work alive on the Desmosedici. Bilega's inclusion is pragmatic, an experienced hot lapper who can help gather race data and preserve Ducati's competitive momentum while Márquez rehabs. Domenicali's comments balance realism with ambition. Bagnaia's year has been complex, but third place remains a tangible and valuable goal. Meanwhile, clarity on Márquez's recovery lets Ducati plan the winter sensibly, protecting their champion's long-term fitness while deploying capable hands to finish the season. For Bagnaia and the Bologna factory, the closing rounds are now a focused sprint: stabilize the bike, stack the points, and turn a turbulent season into a significant podium finish. Quartararo says Portimão's flowing corners and slower, progressive acceleration sectors reduce the M1's typical exposure on brutal stop-start tracks. That doesn't magically make Yamaha fast, but it narrows the deficit and gives the rider a better chance to extract a competitive result. It's a track I have good memories of. I'm not saying we're going to be fast, but I think it's a circuit where the acceleration isn't as aggressive, so it's a bit better for us. Smart pick: target circuits that mask the bike's weaknesses. For Quartararo, Portimão is tactical, not a cure, but a better setting to score. The Frenchman confirmed whispers: he expects to be on Yamaha's V4 next year. That transition is huge: new chassis geometry, different torque delivery and a learning curve, but Quartararo frames it as a natural step in his career. From what I understand, yes, I will ride the V4. For me it's 99% likely. Or 100%. The switch is almost official in tone. and it explains why some development resources this season were diverted away from incremental 2025 upgrades. Quartararo has already spoken to Augusto Fernandez, who rode the V4 wildcard in Sepang, and even lent a swim gun device to help fight vibrations. The device reportedly improved things a bit, but the V4 still has work to do. I spoke with Augusto. In Sepang I gave him one of my swim guns to try. It was a little better, but there's still a long way to go. Early test data is promising but noisy. Vibrations are solvable, but only with focused engineering effort and track mileage, which Yamaha is now planning. Quartararo was frank. Gains this year were modest because the engineers have been devoting time to the 2026 project. That strategic bet trades short-term results for a hope for bigger leap next season. It's a trade-off. Yamaha hopes the long-term payoff outweighs this year's plateaus, but the rider and fans will judge by 2026 results. Quartararo points to progress where it actually happened: electronics. The M1's engine power creep was small, he admits, but the biggest step was in electronic mapping and how the rider and software work together to extract speed with less intervention. Incremental, rider-centric gains matter. Better electronics can flatten inconsistencies and make the bike more usable lap after lap, even if outright horsepower remains shy of the Ducatis. Fabio Quartararo's Portimão outlook mixes realism with cautious optimism. Yamaha's 2025 was a strategic season, electronics refined, future hardware prioritized, and Quartararo is ready to jump into the V4 project, vibrations and all. For now, Portimão offers a relative reprieve, a circuit where the M1's weaknesses hurt less and the rider's strengths can shine through. The real verdict, however, will come in 2026, and Quartararo, for one, is preparing for that next chapter. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!